Back to Miller. Oh, my goodness.
Herbert.
Sidearm sling, and it's a touchdown.
Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, good spin move by Filipowski for the news. Give him 9.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beef Upfront podcast here on Pick Swap Media. Your host, Ryan Coyle, joined alongside Kevin Cannon. Two loser Eagles fans losing 2 games in a row, arguably the worst team in the NFL now. But we're still here. We're still trugging along, and we have a big game against Seattle on Monday night. Didn't crack our big 5 games of the week, as we have a lot of important games this weekend. 3 on Saturday, too, which is awesome. We have a full slate on Saturday, and then we have 2 on Sunday. But all 3 games on Saturday feature teams with winning records, all in the playoffs as of this moment or lurking in the race there. So some big games with major implications this weekend. But as always, Kev, welcome back, and how are we?
Good, yeah, like you were saying, huge implications. It seems like a majority of the league is 7-6, so a lot of things to sort out this weekend.
Yeah, some fun ones too. There's a few teams where backup quarterbacks are going to be playing a huge role, and 2 of the games on Saturday, we got 4 backups rolling. Saturday night, Broncos, Lions is a big one, and then 2 games on Sunday where some potential Super Bowl teams playing. So some fun games to dive into. We'll start on Saturday though, with the Vikings at 7-6. They're starting Nick Mullins this week. They'll be traveling to Cincinnati to play the 7-6 Bengals, who have looked pretty good with Jake Browning under center. A 1:00 kick on the NFL Network. Bengals are a 3.5-point favorite, over under sitting at 39.5. Kev, do you think Jake Browning can continue his hot play?
I'm going, yeah. Bengals 24, Vikings 13. Bengals covering the 3.5 under at 39.5 hidden. Like you said, it's going to be Nick Mullins this week for the Vikings. Josh Dobbs being benched, not even the backup anymore. I saw a report today he's moved to 3rd string, so kind of shows you how quickly the wheels fell off there. But Mullins did not do a whole lot, but he was good enough to get the 3-0 win over Vegas last week. The Bengals backup has been playing really well as of late, leading the Bengals to 2 straight wins against pretty formidable opponents in the Colts and Jags. But the Bengals need to continue to get the ball in their playmakers' hands and just let them make plays. Mixon and Chase obviously being the first 2 options. They need to continue to make plays for Jake Browning, which they've been doing a pretty good job of so far. Not sure what the status of Justin Jefferson is going into this game after being taken to the hospital last week, but that they say that was just precautionary, so not sure how he's feeling. If he ends up playing, I'm still going to give the nod to the Bengals because I think their offense can still put up enough points with Jake Browning.
Yeah, Bengals offense has been impressive despite Joe Burrow being out. But like we were talking about, Nick Mullins with Josh Dobbs, the Vikings sitting at 7-6. Props to them just for what they're going through at the quarterback spot. Mullins did not do a whole lot, but he was able to come in there and get that 3-0 win over Vegas. So at the end of the day, the Vikings stay there in the playoff race. But the Bengals backup with Browning has been playing really well as of late. He's led the Bengals to 2 straight wins over pretty formidable opponents in the Colts and the Jaguars. Bengals need to continue to get the ball in their playmakers' hands, though, and let them make plays. As you were saying, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, those are guys that are big-time players. Even T. Higgins has been coming back, too. So Flores has done a really good job with this defense with the Vikings as of late. I'm interested to see if he's able to kind of stifle Jake Browning, slow him down a little bit, because he's led the Bengals to 34 points in back-to-back games. He's shown he can still lead this offense without Burrow. I'm not confident that they'll be able to make a playoff run, but making the playoffs with a backup quarterback, I think that's a pretty good testament to themselves and should give them a lot of faith next year once Burrow comes back. I'm just a little bit hesitant to say that he's able to go out there and put up another 30-point performance, especially with a guy like Brian Flores that likes to bring a lot of pressure, a lot of blitzes. I think he might be able to stifle the Bengals a little bit, but I still think the Bengals are good enough to win this game being at home, and I just don't have faith in Nick Mullins here. So I'm going to take the Bengals in this one, 24-14. So I'll go Bengals minus 3.5 and under 39.5. But I think it's really going to come down to turnovers in this one. Which quarterback protects the football better? And with the Bengals playmakers too, if they're able to overcome some of the pressure that Flores is going to throw at this defense and see if Browning can navigate it. Second game on Saturday, another matchup of 7-6 teams competing for those wild card spots. The 7-6 Steelers at the 7-6 Colts. 4:30 kickoff on NFL Network. Colts are a 2.5-point favorite. Over under is 42.5.
I'm going Colts 21, Steelers 13, Colts covering the 2.5, under 42.5. I really hate picking this game because you never have any idea what you're going to get from either of these teams. The Steelers defense, though, is really, really good. They're going to keep them in every game they play. But like all season, it's up to the offense to see if they can score like literally anything at all. And with it being Trubisky again this week, I'm willing to bet that they don't score much. In Trubisky's last 3 games played with the Steelers, the team's averaging 12.6 points per game. And the season, he has completed 61% of his passes, and they're only averaging 5.5 yards per play. He's also just not playing great. He has just as many TDs as picks, with 3 of each of them. I think Gardner Minshew's ceiling is a whole lot higher, and I'm going to roll with the Colts here. This could end up easily blown up in my face, as Gardner could have a bad Gardner game, as he's prone to do every now and then, especially against a very good Steelers defense.
Yeah, another game with two teams battling for playoff positions, and another game with backup quarterbacks under center, just like our first game. I'm just going to dwindle it down to this. Who do I have more faith in, Gardner Minshew or Mitch Trubisky? Probably Gardner Minshew. Mitch Trubisky might be the safer pick, but Gardner on any given Sunday, as you were kind of touching on, he can go out there and have a big game, but he can also shit the bed as well. So it's feast or famine with Gardner Minshew, but I'm going to take my chances with him to have a better game in this one. And they're at home. The Colts being at home, I think, is a big advantage too. The Steelers are spiraling a little bit. That loss to the Patriots last week had to be really deflating. So I'm just going to keep it simple in this one. I'm going to roll with the Colts at home. I think they have the better quarterback too. I'll go Colts 23, Steelers 17. So Colts minus 2.5 and the under 42.5. All right, third and final game on Saturday. The 7-6 Broncos, one of the turnaround teams of the NFL season, at the 9-4 Lions for an 8:15 kick on the NFL Network. Lions are a 4-point favorite. Over under is 46.5.
I'm going Lions winning a close one, 27, Broncos 24. So the Broncos covering the 4 and over 46.5. This game's super intriguing with the Lions faltering a bit and the Broncos continuing to build each week. The key to this game is going to be turnovers. Detroit has 3 or more turnovers in 3 of their 4 last games. That's never a good recipe to win any games in the NFL. The Broncos, on the other hand, lead the league with 24 takeaways. And I think the Lions end up playing a pretty clean game here at home, and their offense shows up. They have a ton of options on the offensive side of the ball, and they just need to take advantage of the good spots. They do it here against the Broncos defense that gives up a ton of yards. And the Lions just have to be able to finish drives, not settle for field goals, and obviously not turn the ball over. Like I was saying, the Lions defense is not very good, but I don't think the Broncos offense is really that explosive either. I think the Lions end up winning a pretty close one.
Yeah, I said about 4 or 5 weeks ago that I was worried about the Lions long term. I still think that they're going to win the division, get a pretty decent seed, but I think they might be an early exit come playoff time. And since I've said that, they've lost 2 games to the Bears and Packers, albeit division games, but still 2 teams. The Lions should be favored in both games. But since 2022, the Lions are the best team in the NFL against the spread at 20-10. And they're 6-4 as a home favorite against the spread, and they are 7-4 against the spread after a loss. So that tells me Dan Campbell just knows how to get his guys ready to come back and bounce back off a loss, find a way to motivate them to come back strong. So I think this is another good spot for them there. Broncos are also, 2-3 this year, straight up as a road dog, which they are in this team. They're a different team outside of Denver, so I'm going to roll with Detroit at home here in that bounce back spot. I'm going to go Lions 26, Broncos 20. So Lions minus 4 and under 46.5. Broncos defense is vastly improved from earlier in the year. I think that they're able to give the Lions offense a little bit of trouble. And while the Lions defense hasn't been great, the Broncos offense hasn't been much better. So I think this one is a bit low scoring for a Lions game, but I do like the Lions to win, to resemble that trend there with them against the spread and cover that minus 4 with the under 46.5. All right, 2 games now on Sunday, one in the 4 o'clock window and one for Sunday Night Football. We start with the Cowboys at 10-3, traveling to the Bills, who are 7-6. 4:25 kick on Fox. Bills are a 2-point favorite here. Over under is 48.5.
Yeah, so I truly believe the Cowboys are a completely different team outside of Arlington, outside of Jerry's World, outside of that dome, not on the turf. I think it ends up showing up this week. The Bills obviously got a little bit lucky last week against the Chiefs with Kadarius Toney just standing a million yards off sides, kind of blowing the game for the Chiefs and giving the Bills a close win. But I think in this game, Josh Allen and Dak, both two guys who've been known to turn the ball over a little bit in their career. Obviously, Dak not this year and kind of Josh's whole career, but I think they both end up throwing multiple picks in this game. But the Bills are able to hold off Dallas in the offensive side of the ball and cause them to just get field goals, not score many touchdowns. I think Dallas could win this, obviously, and continue to make their case as one of the top teams in the whole league. But I think the Bills have a huge win at home here in a super close one. Bills 26, Cowboys 23. The Bills end up covering the two after a last-second field goal and over 48.5.
Yeah, I like what you were saying with the Cowboys being a completely different team outside of home. But as long as the Eagles can win that division, it's going to be hard for the Cowboys because, as you were saying it best, they are such a good team at home. And it's weird because you don't really think of the Cowboys historically as a team with like a great home field advantage. Like it feels like so many of those fans are just bandwagon people where it's just like, oh, it's the Cowboys, not like diehard crazy fans. But they have been really good there and on the turf as well. I mean, both of the Cowboys losses, or excuse me, all three of the Cowboys losses this year at the Cardinals, at the Eagles, at the 49ers. So 3 games on the road and 3 games on grass, off turf. Say what you want about that, but that's just a fact at the end of the day, if it matters or not. But I am a big believer in this Cowboys team. I'm intrigued to see them away from home, as we were talking about, as they seem to have just played every game at home over these past 6 weeks. But they're in a groove. They're dominating on both sides of the ball. Dak looks great. CD, I think you could say he's playing the best football from the wide receiver spot in the NFL right now. And the defense is great at causing turnovers. They have everything they need to be a Super Bowl team. Can they go and win on the road, though? Because they're most likely going to need to do that if they want to get to the Super Bowl. But they're playing a Bills team, very desperate, playing for their playoff lives. But if they win this game, they're firmly in the mix, not only for the wild card, but for the division as well. The Dolphins still have coming up. They still have to play the Ravens and the Cowboys off the top of my head, and I think they have one more tough game in there as well. They have some tough games coming up where the Bills could easily play themselves into division title contention after that Dolphins lost to the Titans the other night. So Bills are a much better team at home too. They're 5-1 straight up as a favorite at home this year, and the Cowboys are 0-2 as a road dog. So take those into account, as well as this game being on grass as well. But I'm going to regretfully take the Cowboys in this spot. I think they're just due at some point to shed that label that the Cowboys will mess it up. They're not going to get it done. And I think winning a game like this against a pretty good Bills team that is desperate, fighting for their playoff lives, is a big step in kind of shedding that label, getting that monkey off their back, and giving them a lot of faith where we can go to a legit team's building and win there on the road in the playoff game. So I think that's another big step in proving that the Cowboys are on a roll right now. I think you can say either them or the 49ers look like the two best teams in the league at this moment. So give me Dak and Dallas to get the outright win here, but I hope I'm wrong. Got the Bills in some division future parlays. I need them to win this game. And obviously for the Eagles' sake, it would be nice if the Cowboys were able to drop another game as well. So I do like the Bills the Cowboys to win this game in Buffalo. I'm going to take the Cowboys 30, Bills 27. So Cowboys +2 in the over of 48.5. All right, 5th and final game of the week, the 10-3 Ravens at the 8-5 Jaguars, 8:20 on Sunday Night Football on NBC. Ravens are a 3.5-point favorite. Over under is 43.5.
Going Ravens 30, Jags 24, Ravens -3.5, over 43.5. Lamar looked great last week, throwing for 316 and 3 tutties, also adding 70 yards on the ground. The Ravens defense also continues to be one of the top in the league in most statistical categories. It does hurt. Kyle Hamilton suffered an MCL sprain, and I'm seeing some reports that he's day-to-day and others week-to-week. I'd be really, really surprised if he plays this week, and if he does, he's obviously probably not going to be 100%. But I think they can handle the Jags even without him. Trevor Lawrence faces another one of the league's top defenses, last week, and he didn't look great. I think the same thing can happen again here. He can make some great throws, and then he also sometimes just makes some throws that make you scratch your head a little up and down, never know what you're truly going to get. And Lamar and the offense just keep rolling, as along with the Niners, they look like they're the top two teams in the league.
Excuse me. Since 2008, here's my note on this game. Since 2008, when John Harbaugh took over as the coach of the Ravens, Baltimore is 130-51, so that's 71.8% win percentage there, straight up when they're a favorite. That's a third best mark in the NFL over that time. So this is a team where if they're a favorite, they're 7 out of 10 times they're going to win it outright. 3.5-point favorite in this one, so I love them to win in this game. That combined with the Ravens in position for the 1 seed, if they keep on winning, gives me faith that they're going to find a way to win this game. But they do seem to struggle to cover when they're a favorite, or at least to win comfortably. Sometimes they'll cover at the end, but the final scoreboard really doesn't indicate how close the game is. The Ravens are known, I think, for playing with their food a little bit too much and letting some inferior teams hang around. Not a huge Jags believer. I think that they could be subject to a potential wild card loss, but seeing a team like Buffalo is probably like the Jags' worst nightmare at the end of the day come playoff time. So I just think the Jags are a team that's been kind of regressing as the season's gone along. I'm going to take the Ravens to win with that trend, but I will take the Jags to cover this one at home. I think the Ravens play a Ravens-type game where they let the Jags hang around and maybe Justin Tucker kicks a field goal late to win it. So I'm going to go Ravens 24, Jags 21. So Jags plus 3.5 and the over 43.5. All right, last two picks of the day, the dog of the day and the lock of the week. We'll start with the dog of the day, which is our underdog money line winner. I'll start it off with Cowboys +2, +110 on the money line. As much as it pains me to say this, as I was saying earlier, this team's legit, and we're going to see come playoff time whether or not they can get it done there. That's where it's going to matter most, but I think they're a legit squad at all three levels. The special teams was great last week, too, with Aubrey kicking those field goals. Dak looks great. The defense causing all these turnovers. They're a legit team. I think they go into Buffalo, win that game, and kind of end any chance Buffalo has at the AFC East and potentially even a playoff spot there, too.
My dog of the day, I'm going Giants +6, +205 against the Saints. I don't think the Saints are very good. The Giants got a little bit of swagger with DeVito back there, make it 4 in a row for the G-Men, and who knows, maybe playoffs for them.
Yeah, that's one of the stories of the year, too. It's be interesting to see if they find their way to get in the mix. 2 wins over the Eagles, and they're right in there. Lock of the week time now, our favorite bet of the week. I'm going with Rams Commanders over a 49. This one has already moved up to 50.5. I got it at 49 yesterday. But two teams with poor defenses, offenses that are capable of lighting it up. Could see this one being like a first to 30 win. So we get a bit of a shootout in this matchup. Washington is 8-5 to the over this year, thanks to their poor defense, and Sam Howell can go out there and sling the ball and kind of some comeback efforts. So I like this one to be some points. I think the Rams are able to take advantage of this poor Washington defense.
My lock of the week, I'm going Falcons -3 against the Panthers. Feel like I pick the Panthers a lot and am normally wrong when betting on them, but only 3 points to the horrendous Panthers. I'll just take it.
All right, keep it simple, stupid there. But that'll do it for NFL Big 5 games of the week. As we said, a great slate on Saturday. I got the Thursday night game on here. The Raiders are already up 21-0 in the first quarter, so interested to see how that one ends up. But as always, everyone, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, and we will talk next week for some Christmas weekend games.